So let's talk about Jaime and Cersei for a minute here. Oh, and by the way, sorry I'm kind of late on this video. I was busy yesterday doing the podcast, so yeah, expect that very soon. But I actually did like the way Jaime went out in the last episode. Cersei, on the other hand, the fact that she wasn't killed by Jon, Dany, or even Arya doesn't bother me at all. People were saying how they would have preferred Arya killing her. Yeah, I'm not too keen on that. Arya killing Cersei on top of killing the Night King? Yeah, no, people would riot in the streets at how ridiculous that would be. Cersei's end was not how I would have imagined it, though her dying with Jaime seems very fitting in a tragic, poetic sort of way. Jaime choosing to be with her in those final moments was his ultimate flaw, which makes him very human, and in the end a great character. Someone in my comment section got mad at me for calling it love because it sounded like I'm romanticizing this toxic behavior and relationship. And they're right. This is toxic behavior, and this is a very, just not a healthy relationship. They're 100% correct. It's very unhealthy, but in the end, it's his love for her that leads him back to that very moment. Even if it is an awful addiction that the person in my comment section called cocaine addiction or whatever, but it's what always leads him back there. It's his idea of love, no matter how twisted it is and how much we disagree with it. That's what I'm referring to. It's very Shakespearean in a way. And that's what I think I love about it. There was no other way he could have gone down. Someone said to me they agreed with me about his fate, but didn't like the execution, and I gotta agree on that point as well. This season has felt very rushed, and it could have been handled much better, which can be said for many things this season, but the other thing I also agree on is that Jaime didn't need a mini boss fight before reaching her. That was kind of dumb, but whatever. However, people keep saying that his entire arc for the show for all these years has been ruined. His redemption arc, if you will. And I would like to argue, no, actually, that's not true. Jaime's redemption was always to strive to be somewhat of a decent person, not just the king-slaying oath-breaker. He wanted to be a man with some honor, which is something he tries to do in the books multiple times, more so than in the show, but we still see glimpses of it here and there in the show, and he can accomplish this task without breaking up with his crazy girlfriend. Just because your girlfriend's a major bitch doesn't mean you're a piece of garbage as well. Jaime's redemption from seasons 1 to 4 was always about him coming to terms with who he was, what he wanted, and how he could do better despite his family's bullshit reputation. And he does do some good, despite his horrible taste in women. The fact that he went back to her, it doesn't mean it's ruined. In fact, I would argue that Jaime is more human than a lot of the other characters on the show. Who here listening to this right now hasn't had that one horrible person in their lives who they just knew was awful and is just not a great person, but they went back to time and time again. I've known more women to do that than men, but men as well. This person was incredibly toxic and just outright awful, but it made you happy inside knowing that you could always go to bed next to them every night. Knowing that even though this is unhealthy, both mentally and physically, you just don't care. Now, we all either experience this at some point in our lives, unfortunately, or know someone going through that. No matter how many times we tell that friend or family member, dude, she's just gonna fuck you over, they just don't care, and it's frustrating as all hell, but we're human, we make mistakes, and sometimes we don't want to learn from them. We're creatures of habit, and that is ultimately Jaime's humanity here. He doesn't want to live in a world without her, despite all the wrongs she's done, and all the wrongs he's done because of her. It's an insane form of poetic tragedy, but there it is, and it's been there every single season. Now, this is where it goes on a different path. So people are obviously familiar with Jaime's arc in the books, and when we come to the end of Season 4, it goes in a very different direction in the show. After Joffrey's death, Cersei and Jaime become very distant from each other in the books. However, in the show, if you go back to Season 5, you'll see that he's still her errand boy. He's still willing to do whatever it takes to protect her, make her happy, and protect their children as well. Even if that means going down to Dorne, where they hate Lannisters. Even if that means outing himself as a sister lover to Edmure Tully in Season 6 to get the Siege of Riverrun over with, even if that means marching all the way to Highgarden to destroy that one family she's hated the most, the Tyrells, and personally have Olenna killed in Season 7. Jaime did this all willingly. There was no moment in the show where he burns her letter when she comes calling like in the books, or where his love for her wavers. We do see a bit of that at the end of Season 7, but at the same time, we also see snowfall over King's Landing at the end of the season, and by the time we get to episode 4 of Season 8, it's a fucking desert, so I don't know, take your pick. So in conclusion, was Jaime's arc ruined for the entire series? No, I don't think so. He was always destined to end up going down with her. She was the only woman he's ever loved, and he could see no other way how this could work. A lot of you guys are so used to Jon Snow being the hero, and you want the same for every character, and it just doesn't work that way. Jaime's sexual tension with Brienne aside, I'm sure he didn't think he could, be happy with her. Jaime is a flawed, pathetic jerk. He's not a good person. He tossed the little boy out the window, he killed his own cousin, and commanded the Lannister army to inflict so much pain on people. But that isn't the point of his character. He represents the idiocy in all of us, constantly striving to do something decent, fighting that inner battle between what's right and personal desire. Brienne was his attempt at a normal life without the insanity and shame. It was his chance to get clean, if you will. But like so many addicts, he just went back to it. At least he tried. He tried moving on, and it just didn't work out for him. He wasn't happy without, his addiction, and there was no other way. Sometimes you gotta let that person destroy themselves so they can be at peace. So no, Jaime is not a hero. He's just a guy who wasn't an asshole in the right situations. And I feel like that's what really matters. We all can't be the hero. We all can't be Jon Snow, Brienne of Tarth, but we can choose to be better when the moment requires it of us, which is what Jaime did on multiple occasions. He saved half the population of King's Landing, he helped Brienne keep the Stark girls safe, and he was able to break with Cersei for the betterment of humanity when he was needed, and he wanted to be there for his lover's final moments. Could he have been a better person throughout his life? Well, yeah, of course, we all could, but nobody's perfect. He's a man who wanted to stay true to his code of honor, and he tried, but without that one person in the world, he would feel empty and incomplete, and he just can't stand it. And many of us know or have that someone in our lives. Whether they're a good person or not, I just can't blame Jaime for being a flawed person. To me, it makes him one of the best characters. Guys, thank you so much for watching. As always, leave your thoughts down below. Hit that like, subscribe, bell button if you can. Sorry this video was a little late. I had to cut it down immensely, but let me know your thoughts. And as always, I'll see you next time. Have a good one.